A lot of what we're doing today is just basic data analysis, looking at ways to observe data, also looking at ways that you can do some research to test statistical data. Today we're going to talk about how we can go about doing a survey, doing experiments, and what an observational study is. Okay. Focus on the commonalities and differences between surveys, experiences, experiments, and observational studies will be our objective for today. Vocabulary that you're going to see me use, as you can see, there's been a lot of vocabulary this term. Experiment, observational study, a controlled experiment, a control group, a treatment group, randomized comparative experiments, and just the plain experiment.
Will there be a vocab section?
I cannot remember at this time what that was there. So I do know there's been a lot of terms, so it wouldn't surprise me. Okay? All right. You've already seen that a survey is one way that you can go about collecting data. Although surveys are useful, different situations require different techniques for gathering data. Individuals are people, animals, or objects that are described by data. You can collect data on the fuel efficiency of cars and trucks. The individuals are going to be those vehicles. Variables are used to describe individuals. Fuel efficiency, measured in miles per gallon, is an example of what a variable will be. All right, first term right up here. Okay, is an experiment. Okay, an experiment imposes a treatment on an individual to collect data on the response of the treatment. An example of that, okay, is a researcher is going to add acetone to the gasoline to measure its effect on fuel efficiency. I guess some of you could say I'm kind of doing an experiment right now with this chapter. Okay, you guys are getting the traditional. Okay, here's my lesson. Then you do your homework, when you go home. Fifth hour, okay, is going to be my control group, and I'm controlling them by, they're doing the video lessons, the flip teaching, where they get their video lesson at home, and they get to do all their homework in class. Okay, for some, that may, be an incentive to, excel, and for some, Jordan obviously is not a fan of the flip teaching. Okay, it may have its downfalls. Personally, I kind of already know where this is going to go. I'm not one that likes to always do things all the same all the time. Okay, I think variety is always good. But I do want to see how this works in the end if I do it one whole chapter. So that's my experiments. An observational study, though, is a little different. You're just going to observe individuals and measure those variables without controlling the individuals. So we're just going to observe what happens, out there in life. An example right over here is when a researcher wants to find out if poor nutrition affects eyesight. It'd be kind of unethical to, take a group and say, you're not going to eat very well for the next couple months. Or even better yet, the next couple of years. And then we want to test you. And I wonder if your eyesight got, that's not too ethical. So you got to kind of watch that, and they do more of an observational study then. Okay, where could they possibly go that nutrition is not?
McDonald's.
Well, you could probably go eat McDonald's, which is not nutritional, but who in life does not have very good nutritional, health values on how they eat? Okay, yes, your third world countries. You could go observe that. Okay, so you could observe what's happening in those places. You could go observe what's happening where people have good healthy styles. America is not probably the best, the way we eat. There are much better places out there that have better nutritional values. But those are observational. From the data, for data and experiment to be useful, the experiment must be carefully designed. In a controlled experiment, two groups are studied under conditions that are identical except for one variable. Okay, the effects of the treatment are determined by comparing the control group and the treatment group. Okay, the treatment group is going to receive that treatment, and the control group is used for comparison, does not receive that treatment. Okay? And this is called a randomized control experiment. Okay, often to demonstrate a cause and effect and a hypothesis, okay, an experiment must show two things. First, that phenomenon occurs with the treatment, and second, that the phenomenon does not occur in the absence of the treatment. So we want to show those two things. In a randomized comparative experiment, the individuals are assigned to a control group or the treatment group at random. So I'm just going to randomly, okay, you guys, when I did my control experiment group, I didn't pick my best students, to get to do the flip, right? It was just, you're in 4th hour, okay? Like it or not, you get the normal one, okay? And then my experimental group, okay, and my 5th hour, okay? Like it or not, they're going to try that, okay? So we try to, okay, just assign them at random in order to minimize, the bias. Okay, an experiment that is not randomized, okay, comparative experiment may be subject to bias, and obviously you can draw conclusions, okay, about, okay, whether it's valid or not. Okay? Any questions here about just kind of the summary? I'm just kind of introducing you to what we're talking about today. Okay, what I'm going to have you do is I want you to find a partner. Okay, and we are going to pair share, okay, the following examples, and you're going to determine, okay, whether or not, the experiment's biased, okay, whether or not it's observational study, okay, whether or not, okay, in this experiment right up here, whether or not it's an experiment or an observational study. Okay, so number 1 you can do, and number 2 maybe your partner will do. Okay, so number 1, it says the researcher wants to know if the soil additive makes a fern grow more quickly. He grows one specimen in treated soil and another one in untreated. Go ahead and discuss with your partner. Okay, what you think? Okay, so since that researcher applied a treatment, they put an additive in there, that's going to be an experiment. Okay, go ahead and discuss number 2. You can switch roles there. You can discuss what you think now. They are probably not going to go out there and try to cause accidents. So they are probably just going to, observe, okay, what's happening when these accidents are happening. Okay? If you tried to do that, I don't know. Again, I think you're getting to the unethical parts of experiments. You're right. Okay, that's like jumping out the road and there they go. Oh my goodness, you got an accident! Alright, example number 2. Sorry, I got that all recording too.
That's awesome.
Go ahead and discuss right here. In the study right here to the right, it's described that the report is randomized comparative experiment. Describe the treatment, the control group, and the treatment group. Okay, go ahead and do that with your partner. They also, you didn't have any reaction.
I had teachers
That's fine. They're doing homework today. Yeah. All right, so we have our treatment. Okay, is bathing in Epsom salt. Okay, the treatment group is going to consist of those people, okay, that are actually bathing in that Epsom salt, and the control group consists of the 50 subjects who did not. Okay. All right. Okay, go ahead and try this next one right here. Okay, and this study right over here is a randomized comparative experiment. Again, okay, describe the treatment, the control group, and the treatment group. Nina, what'd your partner say about the treatment? Quiet down. The new website? Okay, and how about the control group then? Parker, what would you say about the control group?
It's the people that use the old website.
Okay, the people that have to use that old website. So the treatment, okay, is going to be using the old and the new websites to make purchases. The treatment group consists of the users that are going to use the new website, where the control group is going to use the old website. Okay? All right. It says, explain whether the research topic is best addressed through an experiment or an observational study. Then explain how you would set up the experiment or observational study. Does using tanning beds at least twice a month affect the likelihood of developing skin disease?
I probably would have got rid That's what
This definitely has to be an experiment, right?
Yeah.
You just take an experimental group, and you say, here you go, sit under the sun forever. Nope, yep, you're right, you got cancer, you're dead.
You're dead.
That is
Okay, so we should probably, hopefully realize, okay, that, the treatment may affect health, so it's probably not very ethical, okay, to, put individuals into a treatment group. So you're probably going to do an observational study. Randomly choosing one group of people who had already been using tanning beds at least twice a month.
Why would you?
Okay. That's kind of up to them. Okay, and another group who does not. And then after that, you just kind of monitor what happens here. Okay. Do they get skin disease for both, or does one less likely? We're going to skip that one. Alright. We got just a couple more left. Stay with me, and then we'll get to the homework. It says classify each method as a survey, an experiment, or an observational study. So you got to look at A, B, and C and see, is that A, a survey, an observational study, or an experiment? And then kind of explain to your partner, okay, why you chose, okay, that one. And which method is the most reliable? Is a survey, an experiment, or the observation? Is A, B, or C the most reliable?
like you tax survey. Yes, you. I was gonna say, you just like put it on the cereal this morning. Have some sort of cereal.
We could have like joined
No, actually, see, is the opposite.
Alright, A. You're just observing. Okay, choosing 50 people. Write down. Choosing 50 people who have at least one serving of soy a day and 50 who do not. So we're just observing that. Okay, B is you're just randomly picking people to kind of survey whether or not they have that or not. And C is your experiment. Okay, randomly choose 50 people to eat at least one survey of soy a day and 50 people who do not. Okay, that way you can kind of control the amount, that they have, right? Because the survey itself, well, do you really know how honest they are of how much they're having? Do you really know how much they're having? One serving to them. So when I'm looking here, it says, in method A, the members of the study are self-selected, and they, have a healthy diet in general. Okay, in survey B, or in method B, the results are self-reported, so, it may not be very accurate. Okay, and in survey C, okay, we're controlling everything. Okay, we're just randomly putting people there, we're giving them, okay, exactly what they're supposed to eat a day, and then we're going to observe, okay, from there, how it affects the whole population. So that's why they said C was the most. Is that what you guys said? C is the most reliable? Any arguments on that?
No.
Okay. Welcome to statistics. Statistics is more than just writing down numbers. Okay, the one thing you guys got to realize is, in order to get a good grade on this test, you cannot just give me one word to explain why. You have to back up your answer, not just sometimes with numbers, but you got to be good ahead of your debate. You got to be able to explain your results, not just, like we're going to have a good argument here, but mathematically why as well. So know that when you go about doing your quizzes, don't just give me a one-word answer. Okay, make sure. And these answers up here, they're all right, but could you explain them better? Probably. I mean, I was verbally explaining them a little bit more. Okay, so be careful on that when it comes to those tests and quizzes and your homework assignments. Homework assignments, I'm not going to just look at them and it's always one word. Yep. Why? Because. Okay, so you got to be a little bit more. Okay, when going about doing it. We're going to skip that one right there. Okay, and we're going to go right to that homework assignment for this.
You want to?